Hi, this is Emma. I was photographing on the spiritual retreats. I'm so excited to share this shoot with you. There's so much information shared here, and the photos at the end, my absolute favourites, are just, I just love how this shoot evolved. So please stick around until the end. This was the very beginning of the shoot. We're literally just warming up into it at this tree, connecting with the tree and just kind of getting comfortable with each other, really. So just talking you through my settings in particular throughout this video. As you can see here, I was quite daring to start with. I was shooting at f1.4, which I know many of you will say is a bit risky, but look how soft it is. I love the softness, and I know my ladies love the softness as well, so I went with it, and that was with my 50mm prime lens. So it worked well here by the tree, and I shot all of these at 1.4 by the tree. And as you can see, it just brings your eye into the subject, and it really helps you connect with what we were connecting with, which was the tree. This shot Emma really liked, which was funny because I took it and thought, oh, I might delete that. And then when she saw it on the back of the camera, she said, oh, I really like that one. So, you know, it's always a good idea to just bear in mind everyone's tastes are different. So don't be too ruthless with the photos. I love the light from above here on Emma's face. I think it's really lovely and soft as she was looking up. And then we went down into the waterfall area, and after walking over the stepping stones, we went over to the waterfall, as you can see here. And I was trying to smooth Emma's hair over for her with the water from the waterfall, because she was conscious that she just washed it and it had slightly, it had puffed out a little bit. So just here, I went for f2.5 because I still wanted to blur the background, but I was just aware that I wanted to focus on Emma's face, but I still wanted the rock that she was holding in focus, which is slightly behind her face, do you see? So I went for f2.5 to ensure that that was still in focus. And this was really fascinating how when I showed Emma, she was kind of blown away by the difference that it made when I asked her to stand on tiptoes in comparison to flat-footed. So you might just be able to see that in the footage, although I'm standing in the way of the video, so apologies for that. But look what a difference it makes when she stands up on tiptoes. It's such a lovely posture, and it tends to just straighten everything up, bring everything in, and just neaten the whole thing. And it's just such an elegant pose. So I just want to talk you through the settings that I used when capturing Emma right by the water now. So as you can see here, the water is not smooth. This is like one of the first few pictures I took, just changing my settings with Emma near the water. So this was 100th of a second, ISO 1000 f3.5. So I decided I didn't really want to go much above 1000 ISO. Okay, so I set my camera at 1000 ISO. It's quite pretty dark down there, and this, as I say, was 100th of a second. But I wanted the water to be smoother. But what I didn't want was to have to put my camera on a tripod, because I knew that I would want to move around. I would want to get different viewpoints, different angles on Emma. Emma would be moving around. It was just, a tripod for me is very, very restrictive when I'm doing a portrait shoot, because if the shoot is flowing as it should do, for me it's just it's too restrictive to be in one place with the tripod. So I wanted to choose a shutter speed that allowed me to just about hold the camera still, so handheld shutter speed, but what smoothed the water at the same time. Just enough that the water didn't look distracting. So I chose a 25th of a second. One of these I think is shot. One of these is a 30th of a second. This very panoramic one is a 30th of a second. But all the rest are 1000 ISO with this is my 20mm prime lens, 1.8 prime lens. So it's 1000 ISO, f5 and a 25th of a second. And I feel that this was a good balance. Because I was able to get some shots where Emma was pin sharp and the waterfall was smooth, but I was still able to move around, because that is absolutely key for me when I'm shooting people. So my absolute favourite shots coming up. This shoot really at this point took on, it just took a life of its own. It was incredible. It was in such an amazing flow by this point. Emma was getting into the water. I was moving around in sync with Emma. And we captured Emma from this viewpoint that just told such a beautiful story, and she was just in her element, and where she was enjoying it so much, she just looks so relaxed. She's holding her dress up so it doesn't get wet, which just, you know, shows a bit of her leg so elegantly, and it's just so beautiful. Absolutely love this shot. I love the way that she's holding her hand on the stone so delicately. She's looking up. She's just tilting her head up perfectly. The water, the whole composition where it's quite panoramic landscape format I love as well. I just think it's beautiful. There are a couple of small distractions behind Emma that I could have photoshopped out, but I actually chose not to. And that was mainly because this was a spiritual retreat. It was a really special time, and I just didn't want to change anything, you know? Sometimes I think it's just lovely to know that that is the raw image of that exact time. You haven't messed with anything, you haven't changed anything. Well, apart from this beautiful edit, I just couldn't resist. And look how this filter, this was a Lightroom filter, look how this filter brings out the mist in the top left. I just love that. So this was, again, one of my favourite shots of Emma. So when I've got a favourite shot, I do a few different edits because I like to give my clients plenty of choice, a bit of variety in the images. So I did a few different edits in colour and in black and white of this shot. So I love here as well how it's starting to show the sheer size of the place that we were. And that's what I wanted to focus on next as I moved back round to this position. So I was straight back up to a faster shutter speed now that we didn't need to capture the water slowly, so I went with f1.8 and 160th of a second. And ISO 500 was fine here because it was slightly lighter. So I always try and show whoever I'm photographing how the light is falling and why I'm shooting them, where I'm shooting them, and just fill them in and include them on my creative process. I think that that's really nice because sometimes a client can be stood there waiting for you to figure out what you're going to do, and you know, there might be times when you can take the pressure off yourself a little bit and you know, relieve them from perhaps waiting, to just explain to them what you're what you're feeling into, what you're thinking, what you're looking at, and just share that, and just say, look at this beautiful light over there. I'm just trying to figure out how I can capture you there with that light falling on the side of you there, and still include this, or whatever it is you're trying to do, just include them in the creative process. It's really special, and I always find that people are interested in that and they learn something, and it's just a really nice thing to share in those moments. So I put my 20mm prime lens on because I really wanted, as I said, to show the vast size of this place that we were standing, and just feel into that kind of notion of being a small part of something really, really magical, really big, really special. And so I wanted to step back and take a little bit more of that in. And I'm really glad I did, because Emma's got a variety of images here now, which all kind of have a different energy, a different vibe, and a different message. And that's really personal to her. And when you tap into the person and get to know the person that you're capturing a little bit, you can kind of tell their story through the photography, because you're feeling into the essence of their character and who they are and what they do and why they're here and what they're enjoying, and their impulses to get in the water, or are they drawn to the tree, and why are they drawn to the tree, and just to just go a little bit deeper with somebody and just really get to know them before the shoot, I think's really special if you can do that. And it gives the shoot, it just gives it more depth. And then at the time of the shoot, it's great to bounce ideas around together and come up with a bit of a starting point for the shoot. Like I said to Emma, right, I really want to get you down near this tree. I just feel like I want to get you down near the tree. And she said, oh, wow, can't believe you said that, because I love that tree with the moss. That's my favourite space here. And she just loved being near the tree. So that was a really great starting point. And then to have a few little plans in place like that, but then also to allow space and time for the shoot to flow and evolve as it needs to and wants to, is really special. Like, don't be too rigid. And that's what we did here. We had a bit of a plan, and then we just went with the flow, and it worked an absolute treat.